Well, good afternoon, and thank you for being here today. For those of you who are watching on Facebook, thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch. As a prosecutor, I've spent my career ensuring that violent individuals and dangerous sex offenders are held accountable. I've worked on behalf of victims to ensure that their abusers are not able to victimize them again. Whether through treatment or incarceration, I have advocated that some truly dangerous offenders be removed from society. I'm keenly aware that there are those in our community who seek to do harm. But there are also individuals who are good people who make bad decisions. These decisions are often driven by substance abuse or mental health disorder, or oftentimes both. As county attorney, I believe that the criminal justice system should never be a one-size-fits-all solution. Individuals who are not a danger to our community and who want to do better should be given the opportunity to do so. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office has a diversion program that is one of the most robust in the country. Earlier this year, this office launched its first ever diversion program designed to help veterans avoid felony convictions, providing them a second chance at being a law-abiding, contributing member of society. The Veterans Diversion Program is a diversion program for felony offenders with minimal or no criminal history. And given that Veterans Day is next week, I want to highlight this program today. Eligibility is determined on a case-by-case and a defendant-by-defendant basis. Offenders must have served in the United States Armed Forces and earned a general or honorable discharge. This program is a multi-agency comprehensive treatment program administered primarily by a behavioral health provider, La Frontera Impact. Referred offenders are assessed and individualized treatment programs are developed for each participant. The program is evidence-based and managed by trained clinicians. Length, type, and content of the treatment is determined through individualized assessments and can include counseling, group activities, support services, and drug testing if appropriate. Counseling is also made available to family members of the offender. Restitution to victims is mandatory. And while the program is relatively new, I believe this can and will have an incredibly positive impact on individuals who enter it and on the community in general. So today, I am extremely honored to have one of the very first veterans to have successfully completed this program here with me today. Mr. Wyatt Zadkovich is an active service member in the Army National Guard, and he is with me today to share his story. So Wyatt, come on up. And
thank you. So my time overseas was spent as a block guard for Joint Task Force Guantanamo Bay. It was supposed to be 9 months. Due to COVID restrictions and extensions, it was 13 months. Was a fun time and not so fun time all in one. But this program has allowed me to come back home after an incident, self-reported, allowed me to basically get a grip and a baseline for what services I needed. The felony diversion program basically, in a nutshell, gave me the opportunity to avoid It gave me the opportunity to avoid some different. Luis, want to help me out here? Outcomes, yes, outcomes. It allowed me to avoid detriment outcomes to my future, and they offered other services to where. Help me out again.
Rally Point?
Rally Point. So, I'm panicking.
That's okay.
So it allowed me to get a baseline on what services are required and move forward from there with, hopefully traveling down a better road. That's basically all I have for now.
thank you so much, Wyatt. And then next to speak is Luis Soto. Do you want to come up here?
Absolutely. Good afternoon. My name is Luis Soto. I'm the clinical coordinator with Rally Point at Impact with La Frontera. This recent partnership with MCAO has definitely allowed us to serve veterans, who have been been caught up in a situation where the first-time offenders and on a case basis have been admitted to our program. We're here to unite that community and also be able to support them. I myself, a veteran, served 5 years in the Marine Corps, can relate to them, and it's good to see a fellow brother on the other side assisting and helping, extending that helping hand to support veterans who have been caught up in a unfortunate situation, and hopefully teaching them skills that will alleviate future stressors and also teach them skills that hopefully will not cause them to be in this situation again. And in addition to that, we offer support for veterans who are not in having to go through diversion. We do have referrals for community members. That's veterans and their families. And we can, if you have any other questions or concerns, you can always look at our website, which is rallypointaz.org, or you can see us at Facebook at Rally Point Arizona Phoenix. Thank you.
Thank you both for coming here today. Thank you both for your service. Wyatt, this is why I do what I do and why my people do what they do, is to see these types of successful outcomes. I have with me today the prosecutor who handled this case and offered diversion, as well as her bureau chief. I also have the people from my office who work in the diversion program. And while certainly being in the military requires courage, coming forward today to talk about your experience and let people know that there is help for people required courage too. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And with that, I will take any other questions. Yes, ma'am.
Nicole with ABC 17. I just wanted to ask you, you met with Police Chief Sullivan Friday to watch or discuss the video of the Denman arrest. Why?
That's what prosecutors do. They work with the police. They do not direct the investigation, but it's incredibly important for the police and prosecutors to openly communicate, to make sure that the society is protected and that we're aware of investigations. And so I went over and I viewed the videos that were relevant to this case.
What was your conclusion after watching the video?
This is a pending investigation as well as a pending case, and so it wouldn't be appropriate for me to comment on any evidence at this time.
Okay, did the officers' actions weigh in on your decision on what to charge Denman with? What's the likelihood of conviction once the jury sees that video?
Every case that comes before me is reviewed with the same standard, which is whether there is a reasonable likelihood of conviction, and part of that consideration is looking at every part of the evidence, including the videotapes, and that would include the videotape that occurred after the shooting itself.
Is this the first time this has happened where Phoenix Police has asked you, since you've been county attorney, to look at other use of force incidents, whether videos prior to submitting the case, shooting or non-shooting?
I can't recall specifically whether it was before or during an investigation or after a submittal, but it's not the first time I've reviewed things from other agencies, including Phoenix Police Department. And certainly as a prosecutor, I'm no stranger, as a career prosecutor, I'm no stranger to reviewing things like that prior to submittal.
Andrew Hernandez from 12 News. Is your office close to announcing a charging decision on Randy Kaufman, the community college district manager arrested for sexual indecency in public?
Yeah, let me give a little bit of background on that, and then I will answer your question, because I think there's some misunderstandings out there. On October 4th of 2022, the Maricopa County Community College Police Department issued a citation to Randy Kaufman, and it was a misdemeanor charge. So per procedure, that citation was filed by the officer with the Hassayampa Justice Court. And it's my understanding that sometime between October 4th and October 17th, the officer was informed that the citation was kicked out of the Justice Court system and needed to be refiled. As I mentioned 2 weeks ago during my press conference, this was not an error on the part of the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. The first time that we learned of this citation was on Sunday, October 16th, when a member of my staff was contacted by a reporter. On Monday, October 17th, my office contacted the Maricopa County Community College Police Department to determine the existence and status of a potential citation for Randy Kaufman. It was then learned of the Justice Court's clerical issue. The case was formally submitted to my office on October the 20th. It is currently under review by prosecutors to determine appropriate charges.
Awesome. And then secondly, there have been several threats made against schools in the county this year leading to arrests of students. Is your office, can you say how many have been officially charged? And since some are minors, are there different processes for that?
Yeah, let me just address that in general as well. Obviously, the safety of our schools and our children is paramount to me. You know, I've watched the horror of school shootings across the country and obviously take those threats very seriously, as do the schools. But how a student who makes a threat is held accountable is based on each individual circumstance. We look at also, does the child need services? Is this truly a threat? And it's extremely challenging, as you can guess, to assess if a person has the capacity, wherewithal, or desire to actually carry out a threat. But obviously you can never be too careful. So we take every single one of them seriously. Since Uvalde, we have seen a resurgence. When there is a national tragedy, we see commonly an uptick in incidents. So my division chief over the juvenile division sits on a national board, and she shared with me that this is actually a trend being seen across the nation. And of course, it's a multifaceted problem. When cases come to us, there are different charges that we consider. These can range from a misdemeanor up to a Class 3 felony, and they include charges such as threats, terroristic threats, and interference with educational institutions. From January 1st of this year through October 15th, we have had 50 youth come in with at least one count of interference with or disruption of an educational institution. Because of when we received your question, we didn't have time to run stats for the other charges, but we can do so if you want that information. Matt?
We're here talking about Veterans Diversion Program.
Yes.
I also know that your office is in talks with public health about a diversion program for opioids.
Yes.
And the Maricopa County Attorney's Office has lots of diversion programs.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Ryan's trial is scheduled for November 22nd. Could a diversion program be in his future?
The talks that we've been involved in have to do with upping the services or treatment options that are available for opioid users. We already have a very robust diversion program for opioid users. This is to provide them with additional resources to be successful. In terms of the Charles Ryan case, as you know, it's an ongoing case, so it would be completely inappropriate for me to comment on any negotiations or settlement potential. Yes?
Could you please explain in terms of responsibilities, the differing prosecutor roles from not 1 through 5, but just how your responsibilities get bigger as you go 1 to 5?
Okay, so that's actually our pay structure, whether you're an attorney 1 through 5. But generally speaking, new attorneys, of course, are hired in as an attorney 1, and they progress up to usually 2, 3 within a number of years. They can also just be line attorneys and also be a 4 and a 5. We also have a management track, so if you're a bureau chief, which is the first level of supervisor, you're typically a 4. There are some exceptions to all of these, of course. And if you're a division chief, so you're over a number of bureaus, you're a 5. So my previous assignment as a division chief, I was a 5. The track that you take through our office usually starts with training and then progresses to justice court, and then it progresses on to superior court. And so as you move through those steps, obviously the potential for changing from a 1 to a 2 to a 3 manifests itself.
But it's possible for a line attorney to be a prosecutor 5?
Yes. But I mean, these are people who are handling complex cases.
Right.
Yes. and with a lot of experience, yes.
Regarding another case, Sydney Durand, North Phoenix road rage incident of an 8-year-old, also a stabbing victim. Do we have any status and charges on driver involved or on the altercation itself?
Yeah. So the suspect was arrested on October 31st for the following charges. And these are the charges that he was booked on. 1 count of first-degree murder, 4 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, 1 count of discharge of a firearm, and 1 count of misdemeanor assault. He had his initial appearance on November 1st, and a judge set his bond at $500,000 cash only. Because he was IA'd or received his initial appearance on November 1st, my office has until tomorrow to formally file charges in this matter, and so it is under review. But since you bring it up, on a side note, I want to extend my deepest condolences to the family that lost a precious 8-year-old child named Cassidy. She died in this incident. It's my understanding that the family wants her name to be said, so that the community knows that that family lost a daughter, a niece, and a sister. Senseless violence is unacceptable in this community, and we've seen now that an innocent child was killed for no reason. And no matter what is happening on the road or at your house or at your work, violence is never the answer, and the impact can be profound. I have no other information on whether other individuals involved are going to be investigated. I would refer you to the Phoenix Police Department. But I just want to end my comments by saying our prayers go out to Cassidy's family and friends. And, you know, if you're a member of our community, please keep them in your thoughts and prayers as they go through a time that I cannot imagine.
And just one more person. His name is Harry Denman, and he shot at officers and turned into PD use of force. It turned into a use of force. Do you have any information on that case?
Yes. He was held on a $50,000 cash bond. Yesterday, my office formally charged Mr. Denman via a direct complaint with the following charges: 2 counts of aggravated assault. Those are Class 2 felonies. 1 count of a discharge of a firearm in a structure. That's also a Class 2. And 1 count of unlawful discharge of a firearm. That is a Class 6 felony. We charged the individual after reviewing it, obviously applying the same standard of whether there is a reasonable likelihood of conviction before we filed each charge. Yes, sir.
Has there been a resolution to the administrative investigation of Prosecutor Kaplinger?
My understanding is it is wrapping up, and so we should have a report to me soon. I can't give you an exact date. Any other questions? All right. With that, I just want to thank people. Thank you all for coming, and also thank you on Facebook for watching and taking the time to do that. So, have a good day, everybody.